gotta talk, but give me a second. Let me go into the Zoom class and I'll talk with y'all after. Alright, y'all, so let's talk about it, right? I try not to be political on my channel. Granted, all of you who are new here, because I know there's going to be some new people on this video, this flag is something that's dear to me because I'm of African American descent, but I will remain completely objective. We're not going to lean to any side or the other side. We're going to state specifically the facts. We're going to get into this. So what are we getting into? By the video's title, you can probably tell. Today, Alan Rouge is talking about the Breonna Taylor case. And the issue with that is that I've heard a lot of controversy and a lot of, let's say, ignorance on both sides of the equation. And I am here to define a middle line that is, in fact, factual, justified, and truthful. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Rouge Reacts hybrid video.
We have an exclusive interview with Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. His name is Kenneth Walker. Now, he was with Taylor when she was killed by Louisville police officers on March 13th. He told us that they were in bed watching a movie when police raided the apartment as part of a narcotics investigation that was targeting her ex-boyfriend. We should point out that Kenneth Walker and Breonna Taylor do not have a criminal history, and no illegal drugs were found in that home. We went to Louisville over the weekend to talk with Kenneth Walker about that night.
To the world, she's just a hashtag, a picture, and all of that, but to me it was much more. More than a girlfriend too. I think that's what I want the world to know the most. That's my best friend. The most important person pretty much to me on the earth, and they took her.
Let's go back to that day. What kind of day was it for you two?
It was a normal day. It was a relaxed day. Really just chilling and just being us. You know, we went on a date, went out to eat, went back in the house, playing, watching a movie.
Take us to that moment when your life really changed forever.
It was a loud bang at the door. Nobody was responding when we were saying, "Who is it?"
You all did ask, "Who is it?"
Several times. Several times, both of us. And there was no response.
You know, the police say that they said several times, "It's the police."
If they knock on the door and say who it was, we can hear them. It's dead silent. I'm 1,000,000% sure that nobody identified themselves.
See, and that's the thing. So the police say that they identified themselves. He said that they didn't, and they brought in, of course, another eyewitness. Now, the eyewitness originally said, no, nobody identified themselves. And then later on, he said, yeah, they did identify themselves. And then later on after that, he was like, well, they identified themselves, but only to me. They didn't necessarily call it out. So my thing is to eliminate all of this, confusion and, he says, she says stuff. Why don't they just show the body cam footage, right? Because that's what it's there for originally. So why don't they show that specific piece of body cam footage to thus check these people to be like, did y'all identify yourself? Because let's look at the common facts, right? He has no criminal record, so all that it takes for him is to be like, oh, these are the police, stand down, cooperate. That's what goes through our head. A lot of people don't realize that. So y'all just gotta, we need some pushes in the right areas for all of us.
So the next thing you hear, the door flies off the hinges. Are you feeling afraid?
Definitely afraid. But I don't have much room to be afraid because I got somebody here that I got to take care of.
So you hear the heavy knocking, and what do you do?
So now at that point, we're getting up to put on clothes, make ourselves decent to answer the door. Then I grab my gun.
We should also say you were licensed to carry the gun.
For sure. That was the one time I had to use it. And if it was the police at the door and they just said we're the police, me or Breonna didn't have a reason at all not to open the door to see what they wanted.
So the doors fly off the hinges.
I let off one shot, and I'm figuring if somebody's trying to break in or something, they're not going to want to do anything after that.
And after that, what happens?
I don't think I ever heard so many gunshots all at the same time. I've never been to war, but I assume that's what war probably sounds like.
One officer fired 6 shots, Officer Mattingly. Officer Cosgrove fired 16 shots. Officer Hankinson fired 10 shots. That is a lot of firepower.
I still try to make sense of it to this day. There was definitely nowhere to hide. Bullets coming in every direction.
When did you realize that Breonna had been shot?
I guess in the middle of all the gunfire, like she screamed, but like I was holding her hand.
You were holding her hand?
Yeah, like while this was happening, I pulled her down to the ground. But she was just scared, so she just didn't get down.
So in the middle of all of this, you realize that she's been hit. Was she alive at the time?
She was still, and when all the gunfire stopped, she was like bleeding and stuff, and I was holding her. Then that's when I called my mom.
You called your mom first?
Yeah, I told her that somebody just kicked in the door and shot Breonna, and she's freaking out at this point, but she told me to call 911,
So you got to think, if let's say you live in like a neighborhood or something where maybe violence and stuff like that is prone to happen, right? So in the black community, I know a lot of people don't understand this. It's hard to fathom this because y'all don't go through what it is that we go through. But in the black community, there's a very distinct period in time where you might watch cartoons on the TV and you see like the cartoons, they always go to police for help. Even if it's something that has nothing to do with like criminal activity, like they teach you that police are people that you're supposed to go to in order to help you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the issue comes in is in the black community, there's a very distinct shift because of how we are treated, and then in turn how we have to react to how we're treated, in which the black community does not want to go to the police for help. And that's why he called his mother, for those of you who don't understand. So thinking about that, it's like we already have that divide, and that divide is what allows for the violence to happen both ways, because we don't feel like the police are here to protect our communities. We don't feel like the police are here to help us. We feel like the police are here to stop us or, get you if you're doing something wrong. That's not your job. Your job is to serve and protect the community, protect the citizens, right? So as lawful citizens, whether we're white, black, purple, etc., the issue becomes all of a sudden your vision is skewed. You don't see us as citizens. You see us as that is a potential bad guy, or maybe that is a bad guy, even if he is or isn't. Even if it is a criminal, I personally feel that cops should feel bad if they ever have to take somebody to jail. Granted, yes, we have killers and pedophiles and all of these heinous criminals that do heinous things, but still, you should want to uphold the community and keep the community, well. Looking at the body cam footage, which we'll get into later in this video, you see that they treat it a lot like military warfare. Like they're shooting rounds through windows. They don't need to see a visible threat. Granted, yes, they heard the shot, but in the military, if you're overseas fighting a war and you pull up on a terrorist house, you don't need to announce yourself as the United States Army because you already know that the enemy is in there. Whenever you are on American soil and you are an American police officer, you should probably announce yourself, even if that, even if you have the, where you don't have to announce yourself, warrant, etc., etc. These are supposed to be citizens that you are interacting with on a daily basis. These are not terrorists overseas. So I watched another video additional to this where he showed he was throwing rounds through the window just blindly, didn't know what he was shooting at. Like, it's pitch black in the apartment. So the issue with that becomes if this is a civilian housing, regardless of if there's criminals or not, you don't just expend shots through the window. Why? Because there might be civilians in there alongside the criminals. Things to think about. Keep going.
911 operator Harris, where's the emergency?
I don't know what happened. Somebody kicked in the door inside my girlfriend.
While you're on the phone, you don't know it's the police.
I didn't know it was the police, not at all. And I even proceeded to tell 911 that, somebody just kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend. If I knew who it was, I would have said the police. I wouldn't have been calling the police on the police. That doesn't even make sense.
Where was she shot at?
I don't know. She's on the grill right now. I don't know.
Is she alert and able to talk to you?
No, she's not. I breathe.
In the midst of me talking to 911, I'm like, well, Breonna's mama should know about this too. I hung up on them and I called her mom.
The police didn't come rushing in?
Not at all. I don't think I realized that it was the police until I was on the phone with Breonna's mom. I heard like people outside talking. I thought they was, coming for help because I called 911.
So you think they're coming to help you?
Yes. So when I come outside, there's guns pointed at me. I'm being threatened with dogs and whatever else.
So to address both sides, like, keep in mind, he hasn't done anything wrong, right? There's an intruder in his home, unidentified. All of you people who are right to bear arms enthusiasts will, in turn, use this as justification on one side, use it for justification on the other side. Somebody breaks into your home, you have a gun. You see how it's going to play out. He let off one shot. In retrospect, on the other side, the police have been tipped off that who lives in here are criminals, who are drug dealers, etc., build the whole agenda. They pull up, they are ready to face all of the things that come with these criminal activities. Me personally, as a person who has never partaken in any of that, I'm probably as far away from those criminal activities as someone can be, right? I've never drank, I've never smoked, let alone cross any other lines that would require me to run in with the law. But you still have to be humane in a sense that, like, there has to be a chance. There has to be a point of, like, revelation and talking and, short of guns blazing. So, going back to it, he comes out. There's guns pointed at him. He's got his hands up. He's cooperating. And, like, the police are like, this is a criminal. But even so, he's only one person. And, like, there's, like, 50 bajillion cops. I guess they don't know there's one person. But still, like, you have to have some kind of situational awareness. They had intel from one person, a singular person who tipped them off and said there are criminals in this house. They are doing this criminal activity. They go in, automatic guns blazing. What I propose going forward is that guns, anytime the lethal force is authorized and used, I need you guys to be 100%. Maybe, if, let's say you can't attain 100%, at least 80 to 90% sure. You had one source. You could have staked out the house. You could have done a whole number of other things. I heard they got undercover cops. So why was it was like, boom, one advice, one tip, we got them. Everybody just barged in. Like, it's got to be more of a thought process than that. You are dealing with human people, not criminals overseas. We're not at war. And I feel a lot of these cops feel like we're at war, and that's not true. I mean, let's go. I'm getting ahead of myself.
The officer asked me, was I hit by any bullet? So I said no. He said that's unfortunate. So that threw me off too.
And, like, a lot of the African American people are gonna be like, that's just so unacceptable, so disrespectful, so blah blah blah. But if you were put in the police officer's shoes and you're looking at what you understood to be a criminal, I can understand why the cops would say that. But even so, that view is still skewed, right? I'm not completely on one side. That view is still skewed. They're thinking, dang, this dude's a criminal. He's still alive. He might get whatever in jail, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I mean, he's not, like, if anything, if you're a police officer, you should feel bad that you have to take somebody to jail. Because if anything, like I said earlier, you want to keep these streets clean. You want to have the best nation. That's why you protect the best nation. That's why you put on the badge every day. You don't go out to stop bad guys. What do you go out to do? You go out to keep the peace. You go out to keep the country great. And that can be easily mixed up with you go out to stop all the bad guys. Because in a sense, those things are dang near parallel lines in which you go out to stop the bad guys. That's keeping the country great. But not all the time, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you're talking about. So, focus a little bit. Tighten up. Keep going.
So I'm like, what's he mean by that?
That's unfortunate, he said to you after you've just lost your girlfriend and you don't know what is happening. What did you think when he said that?
I didn't know what to think, and I really wasn't worried about me. The only reason I'm even out here is because the only way for her to get help in there is for me to be out here.
We were scared. No, we didn't know who it was. We didn't even know who it was.
And I was in the back of the car. I got drug all the way down the street. It was cold. It was wet. I didn't wear any socks and shoes. I'm
So it's like, I know a lot of people who, the reason I made this video too is because a lot of people be up in arms about the riots and the protests, but this is where that anger stems from. It's like, we can be doing everything right, nothing wrong, and then police come in and they're like, oh, you didn't get shot, that's unfortunate. You're going to effing jail. Like, why are y'all so aggressively prosecuting us? Why is there so much aggressive hate? What, like, where does it stem from? We know where it stems from, but why does it have to continue to be this way? Why is it that anytime we try to make a movement or a push to change it, we're met with that much more opposition? So then we don't get nowhere. Make a push to change it, we're met with opposition, we're met with oppression, and we don't get anywhere. So it's like, time goes on, the world keeps going around. The next day something else happens. The next day something else happens. And then eventually we don't want to do the peaceful protest anymore. Eventually we don't want to vote and do the legislation. Eventually we just want to let all of that hate and anger and stress and pressure out. And it'll come up in riots and protests. Is that right? That's up to you. It's up to you.
I rolled rocks and everything, and they was just dragging me like I had scabs and stuff on my feet from that.
When they take you to the police station.
And I need you, I'm sorry, I keep on calling this, but I need y'all to understand this from our perspective. Regardless of who you are, regardless of your race or ethnicity, I need y'all to comprehend this right quick. You are sitting in your bed watching TV. Maybe you got a friend over, whatever. Like, it ain't gotta be no girlfriend, it can be a friend, y'all just chilling watching TV. Somebody banging on your door. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? They don't always say nothing. Banging on your door still. Next thing you know, they kick your door in. Your flight or flight responses are like up. You got to, right? Now it's a survival thing because you don't know who it is. You don't know what's going on. You got this other person you got to protect. Whether that be a dad with some kids, a mother with some kids, brothers and sisters, younger, older siblings, like a million and one scenarios. It could be you any day. And we're saying that because this person is black, the justice system is just gonna write it off and keep on going. And the police station is just gonna keep on going like nothing happened. Like, if somebody broke into your house, scratch that. If the police wrongfully came into your house and killed somebody on accident, you're gonna at least want some kind of reprimands. You're gonna want to sue the police station. You're gonna want people fired. You're gonna want discharges, etc. If a company makes something that accidentally kills somebody, that company's punished. So why is it not the same with the police? Why? Write me in the comment below if y'all got a valid reason, like legitimately. I want to know why. Like, not even trying to be pressed, not even trying to be like F the cops, none of that. Like, I'm never on that. I'm cool with cops. I be talking with them all the time. So I just want to legitimately know, like, what y'all feel about that. Like, there was no reprimands. They was like, oh, you shouldn't have missed. Those shots that you missed and went to the next apartment, yeah, you slap on the wrist for that. There has to be some kind of, like, let's walk through it, bro. Walk through it. There has to be some kind of responsibility upheld here.
Still no socks and shoes.
Still no socks and shoes. When we finally left the scene, we pulled over in like a random parking lot on Manslake, which is the street like at the bottom of the hill down the street from Breonna's apartment. And another officer in an unmarked car, and he wasn't in uniform and stuff, and he came to my window, but his tone was way different than everybody else's who was just on the scene.
How so? Different how?
He told me that this was a misunderstanding, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it, and asking me, did I need anything? Did I need water and this and that?
Hey, partner, can I get your name? Kenneth Walker. There was a little bit of miscommunication. I wanted to talk to you before they left.
Then when I got to the police headquarters or whatever it was, they took the handcuffs off of me and everything. I was walking around, I went to the bathroom.
Go ahead. When you get there, you take the handcuffs off.
So clearly y'all know something's wrong. Because you don't...
You're allowed to move freely.
Yeah, you don't allegedly shoot a police officer and they take the handcuffs off you.
Were you surprised to hear that you were accused of shooting a police
I
officer?
definitely was surprised. But I was more concerned about, is he okay and is Breonna okay? At this point, I still didn't even know if she was alive or not.
So when did officers tell you you were going to be charged with attempted murder? When did you hear that?
Maybe like 5 or 6 in the morning that same night.
What did you think?
I was worried about if Breonna was okay or not.
When were you finally told that Breonna didn't make it?
I never really got told, like, directly. I saw it on the news.
That's how you heard Breonna Taylor died, on the news?
Pretty much. And I was in the cell, and it was like on the news, and it said one, female dead. They confirmed it. I didn't know for sure what condition, she was in when I left. So I didn't know what they did. But as these body cam videos and stuff come out, I see they did nothing. Clearly, we see the SWAT team in there, and she was still in there. They're still like casing the apartment with her laying right there on the ground.
Target 4 is now crime scene. Let's go ahead and move out. All right, she's done.
Disrespectful.
And I agree. That was disrespectful. Like, how can you not agree? If that was your daughter, scratch everything that's happened up to this point, right? But the police barge into what they know for a fact is a crime scene. Your daughter's on the ground. Regardless of if your daughter is a criminal or not, like, you don't see any reason to try to resuscitate the person, to try to provide any kind of medical assistance. You're just gonna walk over the body, check the apartment. Like, understand, once you barge in there, the threat level is still up. You don't know who's in there, but once the threat level comes down, she's done. Like, you don't try, you don't think about it, you don't paramedics, nothing. Like, you just, that one's gone. Like, it's like whenever you walk into a place, right, and you see a dead animal and you're like, oh, the animal's gone. Continue with your business as usual, right? If I walk into the office and I see a dead spider in the corner, I'm gonna be like, oh, the spider's dead. Anyway, keep on working. Like, that's some disrespectful stuff. That's a whole human. So imagine if, like, that was your daughter on the ground, or that was your son on the ground, that was your sister, your aunt, like, etc. Like, your mother, your father, just lying on the ground. They go about their case, they go about their business. Don't even call paramedics, don't check for a pulse, don't do nothing. Like, I'm not trying to be one-sided or objective here, but put yourself in these shoes and see what you would like. What would you do? What would you think? I want to know legitimately. Put in the comment below. Let me know. Because maybe I'm tripping. Let me know if I'm tripping. I'll promise you, if I'm wrong, I'll own up to it. I'll respond to every comment on this video. Just let me know. Like, if you cool with that. If you cool with cops doing this black woman exactly the same as they do you. Straight up, like.
Do you think if you had not survived this incident, that we would be hearing the story that we're hearing today? If you had not survived it?
Definitely not. There wouldn't be a story. You probably wouldn't even know about it. If I didn't live, you probably wouldn't even know about Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor or Kenny Walker?
Or Kenny Walker. I don't want everybody to know about Kenny Walker, though. As long as everybody knows Breonna Taylor.
And what do you want us to know about Breonna Taylor?
Just, she would did anything for anybody. She took care of a lot of people. There's a lot of people that need her bad right now. Including me.
Wow.
A grand jury accepted the Kentucky Attorney General's recommendation not to charge any officers for Breonna Taylor's death. Both the...
How is that nobody was charged? Like, somebody somewhere went wrong. Accidents do... How does nobody get charged? Something here clearly went wrong. And who was the perpetrator of the event? The police department. Regardless of, like, look at the principles. If Coca-Cola accidentally kills a person because of an action on Coca-Cola's part that they can help, that they could have helped, right? If they're negligent in their job and they kill someone, Coca-Cola's getting sued. If Apple, Samsung, any of these companies, if they could do wrong, they're getting sued. They're getting reprimandations. They're getting, somebody's going to jail, somebody's getting charged, etc., etc. Why is it any different with police? Or maybe it's not different with police. Maybe it's different with a black person and a police entity because for some reason they have some kind of exhaustion and exclusion from it. But we can't have that in this country. Like, if America really is the land of the free that y'all proclaim it to be, and if America and the cops are really here to serve and to protect, Who was supposed to protect her? Legitimately, like, who's supposed to protect you in your house? Who are you going to call if cops are barreling into your house? Because I called the police and said, yeah, what's the name got drugs in his house, and the police barge in, shots fired. Like, who you going to call to protect you? Like, legitimately, this is an issue that you got to face, that we have to deal with. This isn't some Black Lives Matter agenda or like some Marxist movement. Like, no, these are legitimate problems. And I'm not gonna say like, oh, these movements are exactly right. No, what I'm saying is there's some truth behind what's going on. So like, there's a lot of Breonna Taylors you haven't heard about. There's a lot of Trayvon Martins you haven't heard about. I know this for a fact. Like, I know people personally. So what's really going on? Why is it that we're met with so much oppression whenever we're just trying to promote a message? And I feel like the message is skewed. So that's why I got on here today. I got on here to say, this is what's going on, legitimately. Minus all of the hanger, the F cops, the defund the police, like, legitimately get down to the bottom of it. What be going on with these cases? There has to be some truth to it. And I feel like if you look at it from any wrong light, you're going to see exactly what you want to see. If you look at it from a F police perspective, you're going to see F police perspective. If you look at it from a Black Lives Matter perspective, or a Cops Lives Matter, or America First perspective, you're going to see that. Anything you look for, you're going to find. So I'm going into this completely objective. I'm fighting for the cops as well. I'm like, I can understand you just following orders, you just barging in, you got tipped off. But even so, if I'm following orders, I'm not going to double check and be like, dang, let me stake it out and let me see, make sure I'm really going in. Especially if I got rifles, I got guns, and I know people's lives are in my hands, whether they're good or bad. Whether they're good or bad, like, if I'm outside of a place and they're like, yeah, drug deal or drug bust or whatever the case was, like, I'm still going to check in. Why? Because we're not at war. This is America. We are not in Afghanistan. We're not in Iran. We're not in any foreign country where I know for a fact anybody else but me is a criminal. So, if I'm on civilian soil, I'm going to act like it. I'm going to act like it. And these cops aren't doing that. Let's see what else they have to say, bro.
Louisville Metro Police Department and attorneys for 3 individual officers involved declined our requests for interviews or for comment. I mean,
why they decline the request for interviews? And why, hold up, why do they decline the request for interviews? And second off, why in the world is it so hard for us to get body cam footage? Like, all of a sudden, all of this body cam footage gets released like way later, or sometimes not at all. Or we have the issue of cops turning off their body cams. That was in another video I watched. Like, the cop had to remind the other one, like, hey, don't turn off your body cam. First off, why is that even an option? Why do they have the power to turn it off? What's the point of having it if you can just turn it on and turn it off whenever you want to? What's the point of like, where's the accountability, right? If we have accountability, like, don't open that door, right? And it's like, I'm going to put this camera in this room. You have to have this camera on so that I know that you don't open the door, right? And it's like, I can turn the camera on and off whenever I want to. It's the accountability. It's the same amount of accountability of whether or not I open and close the door and turn on and turn off the camera. It's the same amount of accountability as wearing a body camera, turning it on and off. They shouldn't even have that option. And then the police station wants to wait all the way until the case is over to delete it. Like, what, like, or to show the footage. Like, why does it matter? Just show it. Anytime that a police have run-in with civilians, any kind of case, whether they're speeding, whether it's a ticket, a murder, blah, 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 they should have access to the footage. They should be able to download it, watch it, show it across the world, because that's what it's there for anyway. It's there for accountability. It's not there so that the cops can disclose the information whenever it helps them. No, it's to help us, the oppressed civilians. So show it, act like it. It's not that hard.
I'm very struck. Kenny Walker, you can still see, is shattered. He's still in a lot of pain. I think this interview was very difficult for him. That night they were watching him.
And I'm never one for emotions. I swear I'm not. I don't let emotions get to me. I don't get super upset. I don't start crying. I don't be screaming names at protests. I don't do that. Like,
and I think it's so important to discuss, to stress no criminal record.
Yeah.
It was the first time that he's ever fired his gun when he wasn't on the shooting range. And to this day, he goes, I'm not really even sure I hit the police officer. They told me I did, but I'm not really even sure about that.
I think everybody in America should watch that piece because they think they may have an idea of what happened. This will change your perspective. And I think it comes down to accountability and proportional use of force.
Yes.
This is a legal Kentucky gun owner who fired one shot into what he thought was an intruder. He got 20 plus bullets from multiple people on the outside who couldn't see what was happening.
Yeah.
That's not proportionate.
And it's totally dark in the apartment. That was interesting too about calling 911. He said, why would I call 911 if I thought it was the police?
Well, and clearly by what he says to 911, he doesn't understand what's happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the really compelling part too, is the way he was treated there and the different way he was treated at the police station.
Exactly.
Do other police officers think that was a disciplined response to Kenneth Walker's single shot? I think that's a question I'd like to have.
It's a lot of questions, and we've got more of the interview with Ken.
And that's the thing, like, all of the other police stations, I need y'all to say something too, because at this point, everybody needs to be on, like, I'm not gonna say under a microscope, but everybody needs to be investigated, because we can't trust y'all to investigate one police station. How in the world are we gonna investigate or trust you to investigate police stations across all 50 states? I need to know how y'all feel. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. If y'all are in the right, and if y'all aren't racist, and if y'all aren't wrong like y'all claim y'all are, then where's the dialogue? Where's the conversation? Where's the, like, if you really have nothing to hide and you're in the right, you shouldn't have any problem with speaking. That's just factual. So why is it that a lot of people are silent? Or why is it that a lot of people only speak up whenever we speak up, right? As soon as we say Black Lives Matter, somebody gotta say all lives matter. But if all lives were put in this position, all lives would not be treated the same. If this dude in the suit on the news screen right now got shot in his apartment by negligent cops, regardless of who was responsible for it, somebody's gonna pay for it. So why is it any different with this African American woman? I need to know. Make it make sense.
Kenneth Walker. In our next hour, we'll have more of what he says, including his reaction to the nationwide protest over Breonna Taylor's.
And that's gonna be it for today. I'm not gonna hold y'all any longer than y'all need to be held up. I really need like some active discussion, because this is my first time doing this style of video. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not proud of this. I'm gonna be nervous to, have the discussion on this channel, because I always stay away from being political, but I need to know personally. I always keep this channel up to date with what's up to date with me, so put it down in the comments below. If you are for the ruling of Breonna Taylor, if you're against the ruling, if you're for the cops, if you're against the cops, you support the cops, if you want to defund the cops, I don't care. I need to hear what y'all feel, because to get one person's perspective, to get two people's perspective, 3 people is not enough. You need to have the entire picture. You need to hear from everybody. So without further ado, that's going to do it for today's episode. This has been Alan Rouge. Thank you so much for watching. If you got it this far in the video, y'all don't even got to leave a like. I understand the video is like really touchy and stuff like that. Like, just comment, let me know what you think. Let's have a discussion about it. I'm not gonna cuss at you. I'm not gonna sit up here and say F the police. I'm not gonna sit up here and call you out your name, call you names and be disrespectful. I'm not about that. I just want to know what your perspective is. I want to gain insight. I want to be as smart as possible, as factual as possible. If I come up wrong, expect to follow the video. If I don't, we'll do a video on another topic. I mean, regardless, we're gonna do a video on another topic, but like, charge me up. Let's do it. Alan Rouge, out.